Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Welcome back, and Happy New Year. We're going to go around the room and say our names. So start me. I'm George.
Grisha.
Matt. My name is Michael.
I'm Greg.
My name is Henry.
Tommy.
Farouk.
Don.
I'm Robert.
Paul.
Jay.
I'm Richard.
I'm Ron.
John.
Tim.
Jim.
Mike.
Peter.
I'm Brad.
Samuel.
My name is Stephen. I'm Jody. Jack.
I'm Larry.
My name is Ray.
I'm Michael.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Clint. I'm Ed.
My name is Jerry.
David. My name is Mark.
My name is Jeff.
Lee.
And Lee. Anybody besides Lee new or coming back after a long absence? No. Okay. Introduce our speakers. Amanda Ream. Amanda Ream facilitates the QSangha for the queer community at San Francisco Against the Stream, Oakland Dharma Punx, and the Social Justice Sangha at the East Bay Meditation Center in Oakland. She also practices Generative Somatics and is a union organizer with domestic workers. And she lives in Oakland. Welcome back, Amanda.
Thank you. I don't know if you all realize this, but you're a very good-looking Sangha. It's very, it's quite something to walk into this room. So I hope that you appreciate, what a beautiful, how many years now? 20 years? 30 years, right? And weekly, can we say, of ongoing practice as the Gay Buddhist Fellowship. And I think probably one of the earliest ongoing gay sanghas, is that right?
Yeah.
I've always heard of it. Yeah, I've always heard of it talked about in that way. And also the website with all those recorded talks. There's so many treasures on there. There's early Larry Yang. Check it out. Baby's first Dharma talk, and now he's such a hero, right, of social justice and of queer Dharma in our communities. So I just appreciate so much getting to walk in the door here with you. How's the volume in the back? Can you hear me okay in the back? Okay. I'm going to try to speak as loudly as I can. And it's also, I'm so grateful to be able to be here with you at the beginning of a new year, and to be able to do a little work this morning around setting some intentions. And we'll also be taking the refuges and the precepts to start off our new year. Happy New Queer. What are we practicing in this new year? Who are the queers we're becoming? What's our offering to the world and to ourselves? And also, it's 2020, right? So a very fundamental part of this lineage and this practice of Buddhism is clear seeing. So what's our 2020 vision that we're going to do some exploration around this morning? What are we letting go of in the last 10 years? And what do we want to take with us for our 2020 vision? Does anybody have 2020 vision? Because I sure don't. That was a sincere question. I want to meet you. But, in all things, right, we have the opportunity to practice, and we have the opportunity to cultivate what we're moving towards. What's our aspiration? And can we let our aspiration inform the choices that we make and to create more choices in the year to come. So can we be anchored in an aspiration that could be as simple as the aspiration to be kind or the aspiration to forgive? I mean, these are really big values that we hold, but they can be the simplest things in the world if we let them really fill out our days and our lives. How's that sound? You on board for a little bit of that? I know it's juicy, right? Like all that sort of expectation that comes with having a new year and the opportunity to start again. I mean, one of the things that I like most, or I find most beneficial about this path, is starting again and starting again and starting over, right? While we can recognize that we have completion or that there are things that we have completed in our lives, there's things that we've decided that we've set out on a path to do. I like so much, and I find it so generous that we can start again in every moment, and really all that we have in our lives is the intention and the action that we're taking in this very present moment. Both because we don't know what's about to happen, so all we can really do is resource ourselves right now. So when we're in a very intentional morning like we are this morning of coming together, being in a field of practice as a community, making vows towards what we're committed to, I think these things are very powerful, because as we get into all the activity of just being regular humans, living in the world, to have something that we can return to that is grounded in our bodies, that lives in what matters to us, that can give us some sense of safety and some sense of meaning when all that activity is taking place, that there's a place to return to that we can count on, that there's a place to return to that is ours, and that is enduring, and that is timeless. Sounds like a lot, right? It's actually what we're doing here. So again, I'm Amanda Ream. I use they, them pronouns. I spend a lot of time at the East Bay Meditation Center in Oakland. Have any of you managed to make it over there? Yeah, oh wonderful. Okay, we have our Tuesday night QSangha, Alphabet Sangha. You're always welcome. So we'd love to see you with the diverse teachers of East Bay Meditation Center anytime you want to visit. And how many people here live in San Francisco? Oh yeah, how many people don't? Yeah, you guys live out in the East Bay? Or, yeah, cool, okay. I'm going to say some things about San Francisco right now, but I think it's like we can really hold San Francisco in our hearts, right? This is like the San Francisco of our dreams, right? This is the San Francisco that we aspire to and that we believe in. So part of what's so moving to me in coming to talk with you is that I was once a baby queer from Orange County, California, who got to come to San Francisco. Any other baby queers from Orange County, California? You're laughing, but you just, yeah, you get it as a conceptual thing, right? Okay. And this is like in the 80s where like my guy from the House of Representatives from my district was this guy named Bob Dornan, whose nickname was B12 Bob, remember? Because he was so invested in war and homophobia. So, I got to come to San Francisco a couple times in 92 and 93 to go to some punk shows. And I remember like walking on the Lower Haight, and there were a couple of people who had their yard sales out, right? Do people still do that? Like where everybody just puts their junk out on the street and you walk around San Francisco and just furnish your house and all kinds of odds and ends from the street. These are really precious things. And this is, it's so visceral for me, and being a young person. So very much the style of that era was like the Riot Girl style, like the Courtney Love style. And so even though I was attending Catholic school and would be shortly thrown out of Catholic school for shaving my head, which when you think about it, what do nuns have under their habits but shaved heads? So luckily that's a style that would continue to inform my sense of fashion and sexuality and, you know, become something that I could relate to again in Buddhism when I spent like a brief period of time as a monastic. But so I'm walking around in my Catholic schoolgirl skirt, which was kind of the fashion statement, which when I think about it now, I'm like, wow, the uniform I wore every day to school was also my idea of like, you know, political statement, kind of like with some safety pins and a t-shirt. And there were these two men on the street, and they were you know where this is going, right? They both had one had like a long, beautiful ponytail, and he was with his partner. And they were selling a full complement of Catholic schoolgirl uniforms. And like leather jackets. You know, like the style of that period was really good, right? For gender, because everybody got to wear everybody looks hot in a motorcycle jacket and cut off jean shorts. So anyway, and so for me, that was like that moment of like, wow, where am I? I'm in a parallel universe where like, there's this amount of freedom around what you can be as a person, and of course like the promise of what it means to have embodiment and sexuality and humor and delight and magic. And those moments for me of like what San Francisco was all about and is all about are why I think I work on housing justice issues, why I care so much about what's happening in the Castro or to queer seniors. It's like, I'm always going to be a person who was informed by what was possible because I got to walk around San Francisco on a Saturday looking at yard sales. And so this Sangha, it's very important because not only is it a place of refuge for us now, maybe as older people or people who are committed to Buddhist practice, but we're practicing refuge as people, many of us, I think, who came to San Francisco to find refuge, right? To find that kind of freedom and find that kind of belonging. And so I hold very deeply like this space that we create together as a place of like promise and aspiration for queer people. That there can be such a thing as like a path of liberation that's shared by us, made by us, offered by us to each other. So that's a little bit of what I'm working in presenting today, the refuges and the precepts, which is the classical Buddhist practice of tuning in to where we find refuge and what we find refuge in. So I thought we would start out with that. And then we would talk a little bit about intention, do our intention setting, and then have a ceremony, a brief ceremony to sort of take us into being rooted in practice for the year to come. Is there anyone here who you've like never heard about the refuges and precepts before? You're like, what the heck is that? Because that would help me. Okay, that'll just help me be a little bit more clear in what we're doing. So we're going to use the language of Pali, which is the oral tradition that the first 250 or so years of the teachings of the Buddha were passed down by monastics and others chanting the core teachings in Pali. And so first what we do is we welcome the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And really we hold the Buddha is the capacity for all of us to awaken and to practice. The Dharma it's the teachings, but it's also that we have the ability to see the nature of reality, the conditioned nature of reality of all things, that we know that all of life is really the Dharma, and that we belong with all of life. And the Sangha, what we're creating here today, the path of practice that we share together, the beautiful community that we are and that we have, this is what we can take refuge in. And the precepts are the guiding principles of how to practice, how to live, how to be in community together, And, we take them, you can take them every day. Some people take them every day. We often take them on these sort of occasions, like starting a retreat, starting a period of practice. And even though this new year, 2020, in some ways, New Year and New Year's Day, it's a convention, right? It's just a thing that helps us not lose track of time and be able to show up on a Tuesday to meet our friend for breakfast. If we were practicing intention setting on solstice, that might be, more, since that's tied to like the lunar calendar, that might be something that is actually more real. So what can we make of this convention? Well, how can we move beyond conventions to have it be something that's meaningful for us? Really finding our own meaning in our practice and what we can from our own experience know to be true. So the precepts, we take 5 precepts, and the precepts are about ethical conduct. And there's a whole world of teachings that we, understand that the Buddha gave. Many of them are for monastics or for people who are living as monks and nuns. The most important of the ethical teachings of the practices that he gave for householders, people like us who have jobs and relationships and are in the world, are these ethical practices. So we're going to chant in Pali, and then when we do those ethical practice precepts, I'll also mention what each of them are in English. How's that? Any questions before we start? I know we're doing like a real tour de force right now of Buddhist practice. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
And certainly, there's never any pressure to participate in something that doesn't feel aligned for you. Part of chanting together, like people chant all around the world. There are definitely people all around the world doing this exact chanting practice right now. The sound of the Dharma and the words of the Dharma certainly transcends beyond the meaning of the words, that we can just receive the transmission of the nourishing quality of the sounds of the Pali language and of these words. So it's call and response style. And the refuges will chant 3 times. And for those of you who know it, I'm looking at Baruch and others of you, if you could really join me, I would appreciate it. Because it's always a little nerve-wracking to sing in front of an audience if you're not a singer. So bringing our hands together. So it's call and response. First we're going to welcome the Buddha, the capacity in each of us to awaken. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. One more time. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Tatyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatyampi sangham dharanam Tatyampi sangham dharanam gacchami. Tatyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. I'm letting those beautiful words be with us for a moment. To know that we're in a lineage of 2,500 years of practice, and that we keep the momentum of all those people, of all those beings with us as they chanted these words, as they practiced together, as we begin this year, 2020. All right, I'm going to talk just for a moment about intention and what intention is in this tradition. So, intention is the second part of the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path are kind of 8 values, 8 ways that we can move skillfully and with wisdom in our world. Everything starts with view. Do we have the correct understanding? And view I find view very helpful to practice with, because view, so much becomes possible when we hold the understanding, when we hold the view of what is our responsibility and what isn't our responsibility. I think, I don't know about you, but I was raised in a way that was Catholic school upbringing years. I was raised in a way to think that everything was my fault and everything was up to me. And this has been a very healing path for me in practicing Buddhism, because guess what? Almost everything is outside of our control. And what we do have the ability to control are our actions and our understanding. So we always start with view, because, the thing about view is, once you understand that everything is impermanent, everything is kind of fundamentally unsatisfactory, and it's not personal. It's not pretty, and it's not perfect. It creates a lot more space for how we want to begin, how we want to live, and what we actually want to do. And I think it takes a long time to really integrate into our day-to-day experience and the understanding that everything's conditioned, right? That it came from somewhere, and most of it wasn't actually our responsibility or our fault, right? So much of it is the society at large, is causes and conditions as they sort of arise, and then we receive that. So in setting intentions, it's always helpful to say, well, okay, what part of this can I choose as my practice? And there's 3 parts to intention, making it a lot simpler, I think, than all those New Year's resolutions that maybe aren't so helpful to us being in the fullness of our beings. The 3 parts of intention are goodwill, non-harming, and renunciation. Just that simple. Goodwill, non-harming, and renunciation. So goodwill really comes down to that attitude of metta, or that attitude of loving kindness. And it has to start with how we hold ourselves. So that in itself would be quite an intention for 2020. Could be the intention for the rest of our lifetimes. How to practice with an intention of goodwill. I took on for a practice once for an entire year, saying hello to every queer person that I saw, or a person I thought was queer. In my world, not very many of them said hi back to me, but that's okay, right? Because I got to practice with that as well. And I also had many wonderful experiences of people smiling, nodding, and appreciating just that simple hello. Bringing an attitude of goodwill to ourselves, that's like the master class, right? There's a nun that I study with whose name is Aya Ananda Bodhi, and I've learned a lot from some of the female identified monastics in this tradition because of the fact that they've come up against really intense conditioned sexism and patriarchy, not things that I believe are part of the core teachings, but have just sort of become part of the scene, when you're dealing with a religion. And so much of their practice as nuns is about like restoring the goodness, restoring the wholeness to themselves, as people who've taken this serious vow to live as renunciants and to continue this lineage. So what she says about how to practice goodwill and metta I find very helpful. For many of us, what gets us started on the path is dukkha. Dukkha is that unsatisfactoriness I was talking about. It might come from a recognition of death, or while going through a difficult time, or experience intense craving that isn't being fulfilled. Again and again, in one way or another, we encounter the limitations of life. The heart gets knocked around, and sometimes trodden on and disappointed. It gets broken too. It can lose trust and close down, either towards others, towards ourselves, or both. Many people find it difficult to have metta for themselves. They feel like they're unworthy or intrinsically bad or flawed. These thoughts are obstacles to awakening because the sense of self can grow very solid and strong around these negative perceptions. The first time I really tasted metta, it came as a sudden experience of unconditional love that appeared to be everywhere. And I saw that I'd been living from a very small sense of self, which had some good aspirations, but was also shut down in many places. It became clear that my contracted sense of self was preventing love from getting in. I was surrounded by this bountiful quality, but I didn't know how to receive it. Then I recognized that my breath was the link between my body and the vast expanse all around me. My contracted experience was so obviously a result of wrong thinking, of not seeing things as they are, but it was difficult to shift out of it because I've been operating from that place for such a long time. As I breathed in, the love was being breathed into my body, and very gradually the sense of tightness and separateness began to dissolve. And I like that because it's keeping it really simple, the practice of allowing the breath to make contact with your heart, of allowing there to be some spaciousness, some relief in the breath, and also the acknowledgement that it's really hard to practice this a lot of the time. Can we find that refuge of metta in our day-to-day? The second piece, which is non-harming, non-harming, it starts with ourselves, and then it also can open up into the relational field of how we are with other people. Can it be a guide towards how I want to be in relationship with other people and how I want to create mutually nourishing relationship, having deep mutuality in relationship? And something that has been very helpful for me is having a forgiveness practice, but keeping it light. And what I mean by that is forgiveness is a deep, deep, deep practice. Again, one of those practices for the whole of our lives. But I try to use forgiveness as a moment-to-moment practice as well. First, either placing a hand or just saying forgiven, forgiven to myself whenever there's a moment where I'm feeling discomfort or I'm in that old safety shape of feeling wrong or like I'm out of place. And then I practice being as generous as I can with all the ways that we bump up against each other in the world. I shared this with you a couple years ago when I came here, so I apologize if it's a repeat, but our friend Noliwe posted this on her Facebook account, and it was very useful for me. I'm not taking anything with me into 2020. If you owe me, don't worry about it. If you wronged me, it's all good. If you're beefing with me, you won. If we aren't speaking, it's cool. Be safe. I still wish you well. If you're talking about me, thanks for the advertisement. If you don't deal with me, continue to not do so. If you don't like me, I'm praying for you. If you left me hanging, don't pick me up. If you feel I wronged you, I apologize. In all things, please forgive me. I forgive you because life is too short for extra unnecessary drama. No one has promised tomorrow. I'm focused on my now. Be blessed, but be a blessing. Repost if you feel the same. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Right? And for me, this is just pointing towards, like, it's a good antidote to notice all the ways that we're caught by the activity around us and drop as much of it as possible. Why? Because there's a lot of unnecessary suffering that we don't have to pick up and we don't have to make it our own. And, renunciation sounds very intense. We can also make renunciation as simple as we'd like to, right? Renunciation is that value of letting go. Can I let go of the places where I'm stuck? Can I let go of the places where I'm rejecting my experience? And can I let go of where I'm clinging? You know what? No problem. Whose phone is ringing? Don't worry about it. Oh, we don't even know whose phone is ringing. Well, that's cool too. That's okay. So, one quick poem on letting go. Let go of the ways you thought life would unfold, the holding of plans or dreams or expectations. Let it all go. Save your strength to swim with the tide. The choice to fight what is here before you now will only result in struggle, fear, and desperate attempts to flee from the very energy you long for. Let it go. Let it all go and flow with the grace that washes through your days, whether you receive it gently or with all your quills raised to defend against invaders. Take this on faith. The mind may never find the explanations that it seeks, but you will move forward nonetheless. Let go and the wave's crest will carry you to unknown shores. Beyond your wildest dreams or destinations, let it all go and find the place of rest and peace and certain transformation. It's by Dana Valdez. So I want to move into a little bit of practice around how we can bring goodwill, non-harming, and renunciation into the year ahead. So I'm going to guide us through a few questions. You can close your eyes. Just at your seat. Taking a minute to return to this body, this embodiment. This vehicle for transformation that we get to live in, that we have the tremendous joy and tremendous responsibility to live in with wisdom. And so the invitation is to really allow the answers to come from this body. This queer body that has given us so much support so much refuge in allowing us to be here in 2020, setting our intentions for a new decade. Just offering a little metta. Thanks, body, for all that work you do, for everything that you've done to keep me safe and get me here. So I'm going to ask a series of questions and really let the answer emerge, maybe one or two words. If there's complete sentences in you, that's fine too. But one or two words that you can take with you into the new year. So the first question is, what am I letting go of? What am I letting go of? And we can let that go right now, right here. Offer it to the earth. Let it pass into the past. The next question is, what am I calling in? What am I calling in? This one I want to hold on to. This is my aspiration. What am I calling in for 2020? Where is my aliveness? I feel the pulse, temperature, sensation in my body of aliveness. Where does my aliveness live? Let me stay anchored in that aliveness in the year to come. What am I longing for? What am I longing for? And how will I know when I get there? How will I know when I get there? When this longing is fulfilled upon? It's important to know what it feels like or what it might feel like to fulfill on the longing so that we can recognize it. What am I practicing? What am I practicing? Our last question, and this also too, let's really allow it to emerge from the body. What am I becoming? May we stay anchored this year in the truth of our experience and in these aspirations. Thanks, everyone. I have one little piece for you as we move towards our closing, which is, it's also very traditional to want to take with us the blessings and the safety and the protection of the Sangha. And one way that we mark that, and this is ritual, so again, it's conventional reality, but I think it can be really, really helpful as a reminder as we work with these blessing cords. Does anyone have one from a retreat or a recent time? So knowing that we're all going to need a lot of safety and protection in this year ahead, I wanted to offer that as a practice. There are very many of you, which is also very exciting. So if we can't make it all the way around the room with our blessing cord, then we'll just energetically extend towards each other the blessing. So I'm going to pass these out, and how we do it is you place it around your wrist like this, and then you pass it to the next person and they place it around their wrist. So it continues around the room. But I'm going to start it from both directions. Any questions about this? I'll start one with the root. So that we can stay reminded to this with this period of practice that we've been in today. I'll start one over there. Do you have some knots over there?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to bring in another one. Safety protection brought to you from Joanne's craft store. And as we pass it around, I think we're doing okay. Oh, I'll start one right here. We'll go that direction. Oh, I see. Okay, community and Sangha is imperfect, right? So as we pass this around, really creating a field of safety and protection that is shared and felt in community, the Gay Buddhist Fellowship. And we'll do a moment of chanting together. How are we doing? Okay, this is great. Thank you. It's perfect. All right. So please join me. You'll catch on very quickly. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be filled with loving kindness. well.
May we be well.
May we be peaceful and at ease.
May we be peaceful and at ease.
May we be happy.
May we be happy.
So I'm going to come around and I'm just going to give them a quick snip. So then we can tie them to our wrist if you'd like. And as you're tying, you can remember your aspiration for the year. So we'll do another round of the chant. May I be filled with loving kindness.
May I be filled with loving kindness.
May I be well.
May I be well.
May I be peaceful and at ease.
May I be peaceful and at ease.
May I be happy.
May I be happy.
May you be filled with loving kindness.
May you be filled with loving kindness.
May you be well.
May you be well.
May you be peaceful and at ease.
May you be peaceful and at ease.
May you be happy.
May you be happy.
May we be filled with loving kindness.
May you be filled with loving kindness.
May we be well.
May we be well.
May we be peaceful and at ease.
May we be peaceful and at ease.
May we be happy.
May we be happy.
Some of you have a lot of metta to take with you into the new year, so you can twist it around and you can have a friend. Oh, I see, we're still connected over here. How wonderful is that? And you can have a friend tie it for you. So I hope this will be a reminder of your practice and the benefits of the practice. And some people wear them until they fall off. Other people keep them on their altar. So it can be a memento of your beautiful intention for 2020. Do you have some announcements, or shall we do we can do the closing.
Yes, all your announcements. Baruch.
Hello. I just want to let people know that I'm co-editing an anthology of LGBTQIA voices, queer voices, Dharma voices. And I posted a call for submission on the Facebook, GBF Facebook page, but I don't know how many people see that. It's in a feed, so if you're a writer or a poet or a screenwriter or an artist, have some interest in trying to be any of those things and would be interested in contributing something to the anthology, come talk with me and you can give me your email and then I'll send you an individual information about sort of what the anthology is about and the guidelines. And my name is Baruch.
My name's Paul, and I was big clean out of the house, and I got rid of probably half my library, and I have a lot of some books on gay spirituality that I bought, and I'll put them on the table out there, and they're up for grabs. I bought maybe about 7 of them, and I have about 7 more to bring. I do feel I could bring them all at once. So I'll put them out there, and they're up for free.
Anybody else? Jim.
Yeah, another showbiz review. I'm one of the people who just saw Hamilton for $75, and I highly recommend it. It's wild and magnificent. And there's a scene of forgiveness that is absolutely unforgettable. And so a low mezzanine seat would be just fine.
And for those of you that have things that might not be appropriate or that you want to share with people in the Sangha, you can share them with the larger community at the community thrift store. As I've mentioned many times, we do benefit from your generosity there. The most recent check we got was for a little over $1,000. We get 4 checks a year. So your kindness and generosity does benefit us. We hope you continue to give away those things you are no longer using, no longer interested in, or perhaps never even wanted.
Any more announcements? I'm going to piggyback on what Jim said last week. There's a wonderful film that's still there at the Roxy called Fantastic Fungi. It's now that it's a new year, it's a very hopeful film. So if you get a chance to see it while it's still there, please do.
Is that the Roxy, you said?
That's at the Roxy. It was anyway. I saw it a few weeks ago. It's wonderful. Also, I'm your host as well as your facilitator today. There's organic Satsuma mandarins out there. Please help yourself. I'll be coming around with a dine ball. Suggested donation is $20 or whatever you can afford. There's a sign-up sheet out there. What else am I forgetting? Lunch, yeah. Some people go to lunch at 12:30. Meet at the door if you're interested in that. Next week's speaker. Oh, and next week's speaker. Yes. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. Next week, January 12th, is Dale Orgium. Orgium? There you go. Should I read his bio or? Yeah. Dale Orgium is the founder and the executive director of the Living Dying Project. He is a pioneer in the conscious dying movement and has worked directly with thousands of people with life-threatening illnesses and their families for over 30 years. In 1981, Dale founded the first residential facility for people who wished to die consciously in the United States, the Dying Center. He has taught and lectured extensively on the topics of spiritual support for those with life-threatening illness, caregiving as a spiritual practice, and healing at the edge of illness, of death, of loss, and of crisis. Dale has a BS from UC Berkeley and a PhD from Stanford University. He's also a co-author of Journey of Awakening, a meditator's guide, and has taught meditation for the past 35 years. Wow.
I just want to say I took a course from him for about 4 months over in East Bay, and he's really a wonderful teacher.
Awesome. Anything else? Can we gather in a circle?
With the permission of the Sangha, as our dedication of merit, I would love to hear one word of intention or aspiration for the year ahead. You want to start?
Sure. Peace.
Hopefulness.
Courage.
Connection.
Heart. Joy.
Non-harmony.
Clarity.
Gently.
Kindness.
Compassion.
Letting go.
Quiet.
Patience.
Hopefulness.
Love.
Acceptance.
Kindness.
Letting go.
Kindness.
Patience.
Acceptance.
Love.
Trust.
Acceptance. Connection.
Immediacy.
Patience. Movement. Steadfastness. Hope. Connection.
Gratefulness.
Focus.
Peace. Compassion.
Joy. May we know all these blessings and more in the year ahead. May we always be connected to this path of liberation. May we know its trustworthiness. May we know the safety and belonging of this Sangha. And in the days ahead, may we always have the refuge of the blessings that we have shared with each other today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live. Please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.